Everyone likes a good action film. It may be a guilty pleasure for some due to how repetitive a lot of them are nowadays, but that doesn't mean the entire genre can just be dismissed. A lot of films try to be too many things at once and become riddled with subplots you don't care about to fit a generic Hollywood money-making formula, but sometimes doing the opposite and stripping a film down to its absolute essentials can garner the best results, as seen with the 2012 movie Dredd. Dredd is as simple as it gets, with the main character, Judge Dredd, needing to take down a drug lord at the top of a tower block, and that's the entire plot. There aren't any big twists, the villain isn't anything special, Dredd shows little emotion and isn't particularly likeable. These would normally seem like major red flags, but they all feed into the greatest strength of the film, the world building. The only location in this film is one of the many tower blocks in Megacity 1, one of the last remaining cities in a post-apocalyptic world that houses hundreds of millions of people. The job of being a judge is introduced in a short chase scene at the beginning in which we learn that it involves being judge, jury and executioner all in one. Having a judicial system like we currently have while caring for nearly 1 billion people in such a small area is impossible, and while the political climate of this world isn't explained in this film, the necessity of judges is made clear. Dredd is the law and takes care of criminals with brute force and no compassion. A hostage situation early on emphasises just how resolute he is in his job as he barely negotiates before killing the criminal in question. The intensity of Dredd's brand of justice may seem surprising at first, and that's where Judge Recruit Anderson comes in. Dredd tests a new recruit with a day out on the streets, and the difference between the two is instantly noticeable. Anderson's naivety almost makes her seem like a viewer insert, but Dredd's subtle remarks throughout the film along with the events unfolding in front of us make both her and the viewer realise the level of commitment needed to be a judge. Convulsing, choking, breaking under its own weight. These words from the opening of the film highlight that the judges are the only thing keeping civilization from collapsing. If you commit any sort of crime, you need to be put away for a long time, or ideally shot, and there can be no time for hesitation.
Sink or swim. Chuck her in the deep end.
It's all a deep end.
Going back to my early statement about an uninspiring villain and a bare-bones plot, that's the real genius of this film. This isn't some flashy, unbelievable action thriller, this is a story where the end result of this conflict will have little consequence on the megacity. Whether Dredd lives or dies, life will go unchanged for many, and this is just like any other day for our protagonist.
So what happened in there?
Drug bust.
Looked like you've been through it.
Perps were uncooperative.
Things went south, but despite this, Dredd still tests Anderson throughout the film, and seeing how undeterred he is fantastically demonstrates the hellish environment of Megacity 1. Mama, the main villain, undoubtedly could have been made a better character if she was more fleshed out, but her simplicity feeds into building the Megacity as an unrelentingly brutal landscape. The fact that she's just a regular scumbag, perhaps best demonstrated by the underwhelming climax to the conflict, plays into this very well, and it's hard not to respect this film for focusing on one core idea and excelling at it. If I have to knock this aspect of the film in any way, I'd have to say that because of the limiting location, the scope of Megacity 1 isn't fully realised, and it may be hard for some to grasp how daunting a judge's job is. The city covers most of the east coast of America and even reaches parts of Canada, and while the opening panning shot of the city gives a sense of how crammed in everything is, the sheer size of it can easily be underestimated from our single glimpse at this world. If I had to guess, the movie's relatively small budget of $40 million resulted in the only real criticism I can give the film in this regard, so while it's a shame, it's a pretty minor gripe I have. A typical day in the job seems like it's going out of control before we realise that this is an everyday experience for our judges. The subtle exposition throughout perfectly plays into the story beats of the film, making us relate to Anderson and helping us to respect Dredd's character. He's pretty damn simplistic, but having this unrelenting figure dispensing justice in such a horrifying place makes him one of the most iconic leads in an action film I've seen in a long time, and that's the beauty of Dredd's world building.